Hello, and welcome to Conversations Worth Your While, a show in which I chat with authentic, heart-centered experts about really interesting topics to spark and inspire and motivate personal and professional change. And today's topic is relieving the physical manifestations of stress. This conversation is worth your while because you probably know that stress is the underlying cause of a lot of physical pain and dissatisfaction that you're experiencing. And you probably have an inkling that there's something you might be able to do for yourself. But the truth is that we have way more control over how we feel and operate than how we've been trained. And so I believe that you found this episode because you are meant to learn something significant today. So buckle in. I am your host, Linda Bucher. I am a speaker, a master life coach, a show host, an author, a bunch of other stuff. But I truly believe that each one of us has unique gifts to share with the world and that you are here to make big, beautiful ripples that no one else can make. So my gifts and my purpose lie in helping smart, heart-centered people to make a splash that ripples positively in the world. And this show is one of the ways that I make a splash. So I've got the pleasure today of being joined by Catherine Chadwick. She's the creator of the Sunshine Quotient, and she is making big, beautiful ripples of her own. Catherine teaches people the basics of how our thoughts influence us and how the body reacts to our thoughts. And she helps clients become more mindful so that they can relieve stress and relieve pain and be more intentional in living. So hi, Catherine. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Well, Linda, thank you. I'm delighted to be here with you. How fun is this?
Totally. So can you share a little bit more with our audience, what you do, who you serve, how you're making positive ripples, and why relieving physical manifestations of stress is a topic that is worth your while to speak with us about today?
Well, I just love helping people develop themselves through mental fitness training, because we are all meant to live from the inside out and become these conscious contributors. And I've been a nurse for over 40 years now. I don't feel old enough to say that, but that's crazy, right? So I'm a practitioner of applied positive psychology. I'm a certified transformational coach. And as you mentioned, I am the creator of the Sunshine Quotient. And we're energy beings, we're light beings. We're radiating light and energy constantly. And we have control over what we choose to entertain in these myriad of thoughts that come through constantly. And we have choices for that. We have choices as to how long we allow these emotions to linger. And all of these things affect how our body operates. And I think it's imperative for people to understand the basics of how they operate.
Beautiful. Well, we're going to share that with them today, which is beautiful. So let's start with talking about how does one recognize the physical manifestations of stress? Because I think they're pretty loud and clear, but let's talk a little bit about that. How did you come to be doing this? How did you, what were the physical manifestations? Everyone has a story of how we kind of got to be here. And usually it starts with a giant challenge, right? So tell us just a quick story about you.
It was quite a rude awakening. By the time I was 23, I was head nurse of a small intensive care unit. And by the time I was 25, I was in a hip to breast back brace after a beautiful repair, but of a major lumbar crumble. And my prescription was to wear this brace and walk 1 mile a day for a year. And I was back in Florida. I had lost everything. I'm sleeping on a friend's couch, but I had 2 bikinis and 2 back braces. And I went to that beach every day, rain or shine. And I got up to 7 or 8 miles a day. My mantra was, this is not going to be my life. Something is way off here, because I could see where people coming into intensive care had not been taking very good care of themselves. But now I'm in the same boat. I was running myself right into the ground, and I'm like, oh my gosh, something is way off. And so I started listening to Wayne Dyer and Eckhart Tolle on cassette tapes and learning more about the mind-body connection, the body-mind-spirit connection. And that was what I call the beginning of my real education.
Beautiful, beautiful. I remember I was about 45 years old and I was in my corporate world life. where I had moved up and climbed up many rungs of the ladder. Maybe it got 3 rungs from the top when I realized that my ladder was leaning against the wrong building. But part of the reason I realized that is because of all the physical discomfort I was having. And I was way too young to be having that much physical discomfort, but I couldn't sleep for more than about 15 minutes at a time. Physically, I would wake up in pain. My body hurt so badly from somewhere in the middle of my back of my head all the way down, including sciatica. My whole backside was a complete mess. I couldn't sit in meetings for more than 5 minutes before having to get up because of sciatica. My gallbladder was only working at about 25% capacity. The doctors wanted to take it out. I had 22 extra pounds on me, and I had no idea that it was stress that was causing this physical manifestation, until I had that same type of epiphany that you had, where I said, wait a minute, this is not the life I'm meant to be living. I'm not meant to be this unfulfilled, this in pain, this stressed out. There's got to be something more for me. There is, like, not just got to be, like, I knew it. There was like this inner knowing, there's something more for me, but I didn't know what it was. So these are some pretty big physical manifestations that I experienced, that you experienced. I'm not sure that everybody recognizes the emotional connection. So let's talk about these fundamental truths of the emotional connection and what really is causing, which is our thoughts, how our thoughts affect our bodies, how our thoughts affect our emotional well-being, and how our thoughts ultimately affect how we show up in the world.
Oh, absolutely, because we're these energetic beings. We're vibration, and every thought, every emotion, every action has a vibrational value to it, right? And so your thoughts and emotions actually trigger chemical cocktail reactions within your body. And of course, some of them are wonderful, and some of them are not so great, right? And when you have a constant diet of, untoward chemical reactions going on in your body, your body actually gets accustomed to it. It's almost like an addiction. And so it gets to be this vicious cycle. And that's why I believe, because everything originates with the thoughts. It's what I refer to as creating your ultimate mind diet, because the thoughts are running the show. And they're dictating your emotional reaction, and your emotions dictate, influence the next thought. And so that goes around and around and around, but your body is reacting all the time. And we have so much more choice than what we have ever been led to believe, for most of us, up until this point. We have choices of what we choose to think. Creating your ultimate mind diet is what's good for you, right? Because we all have these unique gifts. So my thoughts are going to be a little bit different than yours. I mean, we're so closely aligned. I imagine some of them are very much the same, but you know what I mean. And so the person who is a beautiful painter is going to have a different thought process than you and me, but it's beautiful for them and their ultimate mind diet and how they can operate to allow themselves to be fulfilled from the inside out. It's all about living from the inside out and becoming our best version of ourselves. And we have that option.
We absolutely do. You and I have each done it for ourselves. So we are living proof that this is a truth, that this is a pathway. And what's interesting is when I run into, like, a lot of times my clients, they're not aware of this mind-body connection. And so I need to help them to prove it to themselves. So I learned this tool through through Martha Beck, who I studied with for both my life coach certification and my becoming a master coach. And it's the body compass. And so when I take my clients through it, it's really interesting. We're taking inventory of how they physically feel. We start at the toes and work all the way up. Mm-hmm. How do you physically feel? And so we go through this 3 times. The first time we go through in we take a couple deep breaths, take a neutral inventory. Okay, what are you feeling right now? So right now, I feel a little discomfort in my back. I can feel a little something in my head, and my fingers buzzing, whatever. Then I ask them to remember, they don't have to articulate it, but I ask them to remember a very negative, difficult time in their lives, something very stressful. And I want them to remember it. So I'm cueing them to remember it, while I'm also cueing them to go back and take a new inventory from toes all the way up. So I'm cueing them saying, try to be right back there. We're going to relive this. It's only 3 minutes. So just, buckle in, but it's okay. You're not there, so but let's just do it for 3 minutes. And so I'm cueing them about what did you see? What are you seeing right now? You're right back there. What are you hearing? What's the feel on your skin? So I'm cueing them through their senses while we're taking an inventory. I'm noticing them get uncomfortable because their eyes are closed. And I'm noticing them like moving their necks around and getting all uncomfortable, right? And then I ask them, what happened in your physical body when you relived this memory, when you re-experienced those emotions because of your thinking of being there again, the thoughts. So I'm helping them because the body compass has a bigger purpose, that we can use it to navigate our way forward. But what they're understanding fundamentally is that, holy crap, I just proved it to myself that my body physically responds to what's going on in my head. Whoa, right? Then I take them through a third time. This time, between then, I have them get up and shake it out because their body do keep physical emotions in our muscles. And right, so I'm like, shake, shake, shake. Then we go through one more time where I have them remember something beautiful and perfect, something that just feels like peace, like love, like awesomeness in their life. And I take it to the exact same cues. What's the feel on your skin? What's the taste in your mouth? That you're right back there. What's it like? What are you hearing? What are you seeing? Right? We're taking the same inventory, and now their body is feeling something totally different. And I'm showing them how they can heal their body through this type of thinking. So they're actually learning it for themselves. It's a really beautiful, beautiful exercise. And then again, ultimately, how now you can use your body, how it's physically responding to know if when there's a fork in the road, if you should go left or right, because you can check out in your body which way feels like that peace, beautiful way, physically, not mentally, physically. It's a beautiful tool for that reason. So it really, people don't have to take our word for it, that there's a physical manifestation of your thoughts, because that they can prove it to themselves right then and there.
Well, what's interesting too is, the mind doesn't differentiate between what you think of as reality and what you imagine. And, imagination and visualization are valuable superpowers for us. And cultivating the bigger use of that and getting to the point where absolutely you can use your body as a pendulum. That's a wonderful thing to be aware of. And that's why I love teaching people about the Sunshine Quotient so much, because the Sunshine Quotient is a term that refers to lighting gradients in photography and radiology. And I've applied it to people because we are these light beings. So let's augment what we actually are, right? And so when you imagine that you're breathing in, when you breathe in through the nose, imagine that you're breathing in the sunlight and you're just filling up. On the inside, your vagus nerve is glowing. We'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute, but your vagus nerve is glowing. Your heart's glowing. Your heart's getting bigger. You're glowing from the inside out. It's a little difficult to feel cranky, right? And so when you breathe in that light and imagine that you are engaging the vagus nerve, and that nerve is connected to just about every organ in your body. And when you engage that vagus nerve, that stimulates the calming side of your nervous system, the parasympathetic nervous system. And it lowers your blood pressure, your heart rate, and you can just feel the calmness flooding you, and use that. And when you continue to use the breath work, you'll, after a period of time, you raise your level of vibration. You raise your level of self-awareness. You learn to become more mindful and be able to, be responsive instead of reactive. And all of this engages a beautiful way of living from a calm, collected, purposeful, intentional way of being. It's a marvelous place to come from.
It certainly is. and it's like yoga. It's a practice.
Yes.
Coaches were people too. We can find ourselves out of alignment, get a little too much in our head, happens because it's just normally going to happen. Now, I remember I have clients that say, Well, sometimes I still let my thoughts run away, and I'm like, that's okay. That happens to all of us.
Yeah.
It's that self-awareness that oh my gosh, what am I thinking? Because if I'm feeling emotionally, poorly, right? Whether it's fear or anxiety or anger or sadness, if I'm feeling poorly emotionally, or if I'm feeling poorly physically, if I become self-aware of that, now I can say, what am I thinking about this situation? Because situations are neutral. They are 100% of the time. The emotional charge comes from what we make the situation mean. So what am I thinking about this situation? And if I can at least become aware of that, then I can say, well, can I be 1,000% certain that that is true, that my thoughts about this situation are true? Can I be 1,000% certain? Because if I can't, then that thought will immediately begin to start to let go of you. So when we get into monkey mind, you can't just say, oh, let go of me, monkey mind. You have to you let your smart, intelligent, logical brain say, wait a minute, can I be sure that's true? But you can't ask that question until you know what you're thinking. So the self-awareness, it's just like falling out of a yoga pose, right? Like, oh, I fell out. What I'm going to do, I'm going to get back in. I'm self-aware, and I'm going to try to improve the quality of my thinking, which I can do once I question the validity of what I was actually thinking, because maybe it's not true.
Right. The other thing I think is useful to know is the research shows that we think between 18,000 and 70,000 thoughts in one day.
It's crazy.
And about 90% of those are the same as the day before and the day before and the day before, and who knows how long ago. And so most people are just dragging the yesterdays along with them constantly. And it doesn't serve a good purpose, because the energy is moving all of the time, and new information is available and coming to us constantly. And so the way I describe it to people is, the train is always leaving the station. Are you on it or are you not? Right.
Yeah.
And the other 10% to be aware of is that over 90% of health conditions and illnesses are lifestyle induced. And so let's learn the rules of the game and how we can influence our bodies, because, oh my gosh, we're here to have fun and have an adventure and feel good.
Yes, we are not here to be shooting all over ourselves by any means.
Right.
All of the things that we do to try to prove ourselves, to prove our worth, we make lifestyle changes based on that, or we live our lives based on that. And it is so very unhealthy. Fundamentally, once we become truly aware of who we are as unique individuals with unique gifts that we are here to give to the world, and we repair our sense of worthiness, that belief, because you are 1,000% worthy. That's for a different conversation. But when we repair the sense, our impression of our worthiness, because that's the only thing that's messed up, luckily, and we can improve that and repair that sense of worthiness, then we can show up as our true selves, and we can begin to release and let go of the things that are pulling us out of alignment, because we can only give our gifts in the very best way possible when we are truly in alignment. What we're doing with who we are, with our direction, our focus, our energy, and that vibration that you brought up. It's such a beautiful thing. And so it's a practice. But that is the truth. That's the pathway. It's really all about alignment and aligning to our own inner beauty and our own inner gifts, and letting go of the rest. Yeah. Okay. This has been such a great conversation. If there's just one thing you want someone to walk away with from listening to this incredible conversation today, what would that be, Catherine?
We're all the light, right? And so that's what the Sunshine Quotient is all about, right? Realize that you're a light being, and learn to work with that light, and just start radiating, and increase your vibration. And you can start off really small, right? But when you get into the mentality of, I am a light being and I shine from the inside out, and I can cultivate this, and that's where your power is. And that's what I want everybody to be aware of.
That is a very beautiful truth, very eloquently put. I usually just say, all you got to do is de-schmutz your inner light that's covered in shining so brightly under there, but there's so much schmutz on it. And that is the focus and function of people like you and I who are called to this work to help people to de-switch their inner light so they can shine. And let's just mix a metaphor, make that splash. That is, it will be rippling positively in the world. And that is the legacy that we leave to the world, is our positive impacts. So let's schmutz, everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. Give a ripple.
There you go. Beautiful. Well, thank you, Catherine Chadwick, for being on Conversations Worth Your While. It's been my pleasure to have you here today.
Well, Linda, thank you. Gosh, this has been so much fun. We'll have to do it again.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Before we go, let's talk about this Sunshine Quotient. How can people learn more about it, discover what their Sunshine Quotient is? What can they do?
Well, you can actually go to sunshinequotient.org. And that is part of my website, theartofselfcraftsmanship.org. And I've created a calendar, and which is the PS on it is it's not just for kids, right? And it teaches about the concept of your mind being like a garden, and what thought seeds are you planting, and goes through the process, and also of teaching people to start thinking with intention. And there's a word bank there. So every morning, pick at least 2 words, right? And so I am curious. Today, I'm courageous. Today, I'm thoughtful, or whatever it is that is meaningful for you that day. And with that calendar, I've also done a video to teach about the breath work, the mindfulness and the breath work. And so those 2 things are available to you on the website. And what's also so fun is on the 3rd Tuesdays of each month at 4:00 Eastern Standard Time, I'm doing a quick little half hour and the title of this experiment is Create Your Ultimate Mind Diet. And so I share useful information and strategies that people can use to take away that day, things that people need to know. And so I give a very short presentation, and I leave time for Q&A. So join up and bring your questions.
Beautiful, beautiful. Well, I will include all of that in the show notes for our listeners.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. Well, that's our show. I'd like to thank Catherine Chadwick, creator of the Sunshine Quotient, for being here with us today. And I'd also like to thank you, devoted listener, for sharing your time with us today. Once again, I'm Linda Bucher, helping smart, heart-centered people to make a splash that ripples positively throughout the world. And until next time, please subscribe and make sure that you've made this conversation worth your while by fueling the spark that it ignited.